Hey guys, welcome back. It's me Sahil Mahajan. So in this video we're going to be talking about how can you optimize EC2 using placement groups. So let's dive right into the video. So there are three different types of placement groups that EC2 provides you with. The first one being clustered, second being spread, and the third being partition. Now let's dive a bit into each of these placement groups so you guys can get a better understanding how can you use this to optimize EC2. The first is cluster placement group. So here what basically happens is you are grouping of instances within a single availability zone. So you may have multiple EC2 instances that you have deployed and all of them are grouped together within a single availability zone. This is normally recommended for applications that need low network latency and high network throughput or both. And finally, as EC2 are physically very close, it increases the speed at which they communicate. So, as mentioned in the first point, if you have 10 virtual machines or EC2 instances deployed in a single availability zone, they will be physically very close to each other so that if any communications take place within these 10 EC2 instances, it will be quite fast. Moving on, we have the second type of placement group, which is called the spread placement group. It is where a group of instances that are each placed on distinct underlying hardware. And it is recommended for applications that have a small number of critical instances that should be kept separate from each other. So when we talk about spread placement group, what does the first exact point mean? The first exact point means that you may have multiple EC2 instances, but each of those instances will be deployed on their distinct underlying hardware, which basically means that no two EC2 instances will be deployed on the same server or the same on the same server. So each of them will be deployed on different hardware that is different servers. And the reason why we do that is because there may be some components wherein you may have some critical functions or functionalities, and that's the reason why you want to keep them on different servers. In case if one server fails, you still have the other server or the up and running. And moving on to the final placement group that we have is called partition placement group. Here, each partition placement group has its own set of racks, and each rack has its own network and power supplies. No two partitions within a placement group share the same rack, allowing you to isolate the impact of hardware failure within your application. So you can, within a placement group, each placement group has its own set of racks. So in the previous one, we saw that in the spread, they have different hardware that's a physical server. Now a rack consists of multiple servers. So each partition placement group has its own set of racks, and each rack that is present within the partition group will have its own network and power supply. So if I have 10 server racks within a placement group, each of those racks will have their own power supply, have their own networking. Finally, what happens is no two partitions within a specific placement group will share the same rack, allowing you to isolate the impact of hardware failure. So in the scenario that one rack is completely out of service due to some issues that come up, it could be networking issues, it could be power supply related issues, or anything. Your applications will not be affected as each of the application is isolated from one another. So these are basically the three different ways on how you can optimize your EC2 deployments according to your use cases by using placement groups. So I hope you guys did like this video. If you did, please make sure to leave a like, do subscribe, and do comment if there are any other topics that you guys would like me to cover. I hope you guys have a great day ahead. See ya. Take care. Bye bye.